Here, you better get Nope. PM works in that aggravation.
Yeah, she's like a fish star in China.
Yeah, we were talking about it, how he's totally her character's true.
Alright guys, as promised, I am a AMC Stubs member, and I got invited to a very early screening of Kong Skull Island. Now, I really recommend this AMC Stubs card because not only do you earn rewards for every time you go to the movies, which is really useful for me since I go to the movies a lot, you get invited to free screenings like this. And yeah, I saw Kong Skull Island before most people here in Vegas, and there was another screening on the other side of town, except that screening was open to the whole public, where this was only open to AMC Stubs members. And it wasn't really all that full because not everyone has this membership. But let's just get into my review of Kong Skull Island. We have two scientists in this movie that are trying to prove that monsters are real, and they go on a trip with people from the military and the army to prove that this monster actually exists, and of course it's King Kong. Then after they find out, they start bombing his habitat, which of course King Kong gets upset for a really good reason in this movie, which is later explained in the movie. And these men get stranded into this island. Of course, they're separated into two different groups, and one of them finds a character that is played by John C. Reilly that's been there for about nearly 30 years in that island, and of course he tells them why he's been stranded and why King Kong got mad when they started destroying his habitat and just started putting bombs in his home and where he lives and everything. And there are these monsters that are basically going after anything living. These creatures are skull crawlers, which these creatures are actually very terrifying creatures. If they see anything that's alive, they go after it and eat them alive. I like how this is a different story from other King Kong movies we have watched. Of course, this movie is setting up to the big movie of Godzilla and King Kong fighting, which I'm sure is going to be awesome. And this movie isn't really a sequel to Godzilla, but it's more of, I guess, a prequel, since this movie happens before Godzilla. It's in the 1970s, and Godzilla happens in like 2014. And I thought this movie was going to be really disappointing because Godzilla was in his own movie for 7 minutes, but Kong has a fair 20 minutes of screen time in this movie. I absolutely loved how this story was written. The script was very well written, at least for me. I know a lot of people didn't like the script to this movie, but I loved the script to this movie. I thought it was fantastic. It was very well written, and there is humor written into this movie, which either is going to be a hit or a miss to some people. For me, it was a hit. I was either chuckling or I was laughing, and to other people in the theater, they were also either chuckling or laughing, but there were some people that were really not laughing at all. So the humor is a hit or a miss. So if you don't like the humor to this movie, that's fine, because it really depends the type of person that you are, I guess. Or at least the type of humor that I like, because I like stupid humor, and they have that in this movie. Now, this movie has a fantastic cast behind it. We have Tom Hiddleston, Arluki, who is a very, very awesome character in this movie. I loved him. I thought he was going to have no purpose whatsoever into this movie, but he actually has a reason to be in this movie. Then, of course, our Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, who I think that she is just mainly there to just basically be kind of a love interest to Tom Hiddleston. But she also did very good. I thought that she's probably one of the best characters in this movie. Sam L. Jackson is one of my biggest disappointments in this movie. I thought he was going to be the character that Tom Hiddleston was, but sadly he wasn't. The two scientist characters are played by John Goodman and our Dr. Dre from Straight Outta Compton, Corey Hopkins. I also think that they do a good job in this movie. Corey Hawkins wasn't the only person that we had from Strata Compton. We also had Jason Mitchell, who played Eazy-E in Strata Compton, and he plays a military character in this movie. And I was slightly disappointed at him because I thought that he was gonna have a bigger role in this movie, but he was mainly just there to throw in some of the humor. And he is this character that is just very nervous about being stranded on this island, and that's where the humor comes from him. Toby Kebbell is also in this movie, and he's recently been in the most disappointing movies out there. He's been in Fantastic Four, Ben-Hur, and Warcraft. That piece of shit video game movie from 2016. It was in my top 10 worst movies of 2016, and he was in this movie, and this brings him back on track. Because his character, as much as he doesn't have much to do, he is mostly there since he's a part of the army in this movie, and he is basically separated from these two groups, and he's on his own. He was good for the character he was in. He's at least slowly coming up, or at least slowly being a good actor again, or being in good movies again. I just hope that he's back into War of the Planet of the Apes, which at this point looks kind of unlikely, but I really do hope he is in that movie. We have Thomas Mann in this movie. I haven't seen him in a movie in a long time, so I was surprised when I saw him in this movie. And we have a Chinese actress, which she looks like she's there to sell tickets in the box office over there in China. She was also in The Great Wall, who in The Great Wall, she was the best character in The Great Wall, and in this movie, she didn't have much to do. CGI in this movie is really big, whether it's explosions or Kong, and I thought that the CGI for Kong was very well rendered, and he did look like a CGI character sometimes, but there were some times where you actually believed that he was a real monster. I know a lot of people are going to complain about the green screen, but for me the green screen was fine. It wasn't in movies like The Great Wall or Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage, where it was really noticeable. And the green screen is sometimes noticeable, but it could also be used very well in this movie. Also forgot to mention that John C. Reilly I thought was going to be a very annoying character, but he is actually one of the best characters, along with Tom Hiddleston. He is one of the best characters, and he delivers all the humor into this movie. I thought he did great in this movie. He wasn't as annoying as I thought he was going to be, and he certainly was over the top sometimes, but that's just his character, and that's why I loved his character so much. I'm just sad that this movie's coming out in a jam-packed month. I was more excited for Power Rangers, Beauty and the Beast, and Logan than I was for Kong Skull Island, but this movie was very good. In fact, I could consider it great. In my rating system, I'm going to give Kong Skull Island a full price worthy, but in a letter grade, I'm going to give Kong Skull Island an A-. It's such a shame that this movie was screened in regular 2D for me. I wanted to watch this in a massive scale on the biggest screen possible, such as IMAX. I went to this screening alone. My parents haven't seen it, so I'll probably watch it again the week it comes out in IMAX, since there's nothing else coming out that week. And yes, I did see Chris Stuckman's review for this movie. He gave it a C-. And to be honest, it wasn't a fair review, because he mostly compared it to movies such as Marvel movies, and this movie should not at all be compared to movies like Marvel. This movie is its own thing. They should let it be its own thing, and of course we're going to have those idiots that are going to go after or behind Chris Stuckman and not like the movie just like he didn't like it, just because he's comparing it to a Marvel movie, and it's not fair at all. So I say, don't listen to critics for this movie, or critics that don't like this movie. I'd say it's a good movie. Go watch it. Go watch it on March 10th when it comes out. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. If you guys seen this movie, please let me down below. Like this video, subscribe to be updated, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.